Association. It's an eyesore, and I have half a mind to report you to the Homeowners Association. You people should be ashamed of yourselves.
They say your home is your castle, a private sanctuary away from the chaos of the world, especially here, by the tranquil waters of the lake. My house was my pride and joy, a modern detached property with a 3-car garage, perfect for a man who appreciates his own space. It was a Tuesday afternoon when I pulled into the driveway, looking forward to a quiet evening. I reached for the garage door opener, but as the heavy door began to rise, I realized something was very, very wrong. My heart skipped a beat in confusion. Inside my private garage, where my own car should be, stood 3 vintage masterpieces I had never seen before in my life. They were beautiful, sure, but they weren't mine. They were taking up every square inch of my parking space without my permission. Before I could even process the intrusion, I heard the clicking of heels on the driveway. The local HOA president was approaching. She didn't look like she was delivering an apology. She looked like she was conducting an inspection of her own personal property. "Oh, you're home," she said, with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. She explained that the official HOA storage unit was currently undergoing renovations. She told me the board had voted to use my garage to protect these community. ASSETS. From the elements until further notice. I stood there in disbelief. I asked her who gave her the right to enter my property and park unauthorized vehicles in my garage. She tapped her clipboard aggressively. "It's for the neighborhood aesthetics," she insisted. "As a resident, you have a duty to comply with HOA mandates." She dismissed my concerns with a wave of her hand and walked away, leaving me standing there with 3 cars that didn't belong to me. I didn't argue further. I had a nagging suspicion that needed investigating. I went straight to my office and pulled out the old files. I remembered something from when I bought this house, something the realtor mentioned about the lakefront lots being unique in this development. I opened the digital GIS map on my computer. I looked at the red boundary lines that defined the jurisdiction of the Homeowners Association. There it was. My property line was clearly, legally, and undeniably outside the HOA boundary. I wasn't even a member. A slow, knowing smile spread across my face. Karen had been bullying me for years, and all this time, she had absolutely zero authority over me. The next morning, I didn't call Karen. I didn't call the HOA. I called the local heavy-duty towing company and told them I had trespassers. Within the hour, 3 massive flatbed tow trucks came rolling down the street, their orange lights flashing against the morning mist. I watched as the drivers began their work. They were professionals. They knew exactly how to handle high-value, vintage machinery. The 1969 Mustang was the first to go. It was carefully winched onto the back of the first truck, its red paint gleaming in the sun. It didn't take long for the noise to attract attention. I saw a flash of floral print running across the neighbor's perfectly manicured lawn. She was screaming at the top of her lungs, demanding that the drivers stop immediately. She was threatening them with every lawsuit imaginable. The drivers just looked at me. I was the property owner, and I had given the order. I calmly stepped forward to meet her. "What are you doing?" she shrieked. "Those cars are under HOA protection. You'll be fined for every second they are in transit." I didn't say a word. I simply handed her the folder. Inside were the property deeds and the certified land survey from the county. I watched the color drain from her face as she read the highlighted sections. The entitlement vanished, replaced by a look of pure, unadulterated shock. "I'm not in your HOA, Karen," I said quietly, "which means you just committed breaking and entering and used my property for illegal storage." She tried to speak, but no words came out. The tow trucks were gone, and she was left standing on a property where she had no power. I walked back to my garage and pressed the button. The heavy door descended, sealing off my space once again. It was finally empty and clean. The rest of the week was incredibly peaceful. No more clipboards, no more voted mandates, and no more unauthorized guests in my garage. I took a sip of my drink, feeling the cool breeze off the water. Poetic justice has a very specific, very satisfying flavor. A few days later, a new sign appeared down the street. It seems Karen decided that the neighborhood aesthetics were no longer to her liking. In the end, victory is sweet, but knowing your rights, that is the sweetest feeling of all. Watch out whose garage you pick next time.